It's an uprising. It's an uprising.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Green Live Stream. I'm your host, Edie Arndell. Good to see everyone, and I'm here with Mr. Scott Free.
Hey, everybody.
Scott?
How's it going?
We have a very special guest tonight, William Asfour. Hopefully I got that. Little practice.
You got it.
There you go.
Yeah, so welcome to the show. You are a Palestinian from Gaza, and you have a lot to tell us.
Yes, I do. So first of all, thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate it. I'm honored to be on the show to speak with you guys. And yeah, my name is William Asfour. I am a Palestinian from Gaza, where I spent the first 4 years of my life. And ever since, I've been in the Chicagoland area for the most part, outside of 3 years in Southern Illinois. But yeah, I'm here to talk about the genocide that's still going on. Despite the ceasefire, people think that's in place. That's not really happening. And I'm here to give historical context and personal perspective, or my family's perspective, who I still have in Gaza, like my aunts and my uncles and my cousins and a lot of distant relatives.
Yeah, you still have family there, right?
Yep.
So what is the situation like for them?
So currently, since all of our houses are destroyed from Israel, they were sheltering in tents, displaced outside of even their neighborhoods. So our neighborhood currently, which is in East Khan Yunis, is still considered the yellow line. So they can't even go check to see like their destroyed houses. So they're staying outside in tents outside the hospital, near the beach. Like they're scattered across these areas in Khan Yunis. And the situations, if I can add real quick, are very dire. They're terrible. As you guys see the videos, it's cold, it's wet. There's a lot of flooding happening because, again, their houses have been destroyed by Israel, and the humanitarian aid or winter supplies, food, basic necessities are not allowed into Gaza because of the Israeli blockade.
Yeah. How cold does it get there?
It gets below 20 degrees Celsius. So I don't know what that is for Fahrenheit, but if you don't have, during the nights, it can get really like chilly, so some people need winter jackets, winter coats. It's on the coast, on the Mediterranean, so it's a coastal area. A lot of rain, there's been snow sometimes, like over the past 20 years or so. There's snow that even goes into Jerusalem. So like the weather is very, it's very mild. It changes. Obviously, it's hotter than usual during the summers and stuff like that. But during the winters, it gets cold, especially if you don't have electricity, heat, a roof over your head, basic necessities, food and water. So this is kind of the picture that, we can't even, it's hard for us to imagine, right? We have houses, we have food, we have water, we have these basic necessities, and nobody's depriving us of that. But the state of Israel is depriving an entire population of these basic necessities, which in fact, today there was a 1-year-old or an infant who was killed because of the cold. So
right. I did see that. Yeah. It's a horrible situation. You mentioned the yellow line. I guess it was part of the Trump announcement of a new yellow line, and supposedly that yellow line shifting. They've been shooting people that they say have crossed the yellow line. And so, there's no actual line. They just make stuff up as an excuse to shoot people.
Correct. And it was part of the 20-point peace plan. And if it comes from certain people, it's not about peace, right? So it's all garbage. And there were several like lines where Israel had to like withdraw from. And you're right, they shot a 11-year-old and 8-year-old boys from actually from near our village. So we're from Abasan. These kids were from Beni Sohela, which is like right next to us in East Khan Yunis. 11-year-old boy, 8-year-old boy, they were searching for firewood for their disabled father, and they were both killed by drones. And Israel bragged about it. They said, we killed 2 terrorists who tried to cross this certain line or whatnot. It was a drone strike, and they're killing children, and they're bragging about it online. So these people are sick. So.
That's been the shocking part to me is, in our country, people I've known my whole life, I didn't know were Zionist. I didn't even know, I wasn't paying attention to anything. And then, you see the most horrific things happening, and then the stuff that comes out of their mouths, trying to slide the issue around to like their hurt feelings around anti-Semitism. And I mean, it's gross when you realize that these people they know the situation. They know that children are dying and people are dying by the hundreds every day. They know that. And yet they say these things. It's frightening. It speaks to just a lifetime of propaganda that they've been subjected to, but not having the character to break out of it. I've certainly grown up around propaganda and had the character to break out of certain things I knew were wrong, and they don't. I don't understand it.
And I don't think there's enough being done inside of Israel from the people of Israel that should have a conscience, should understand what this is like, and they're perpetrating on somebody that had nothing to do with what happened to them in history. I just can't imagine being that brainwashed. I hope that never happens to me. I mean, you have to have the intellectual curiosity to find out what's going on. And that is, for me, that is the most basic human thing, is to care about another human life. I mean, if you don't get that, I don't know if there's help for you.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, Israeli society is, I mean, the majority of them are sick. Majority of them are Zionist. They're calling for the ethnic cleansing of the native Palestinian people. They're pro-genocide. They're not hiding any of this.
No.
The settlers who are illegally in the West Bank, there's over 700,000 illegal Jewish settlers in the West Bank, which is Palestinian territory. I mean, the whole thing is Palestinian territory. But they are there. They are, inciting violence against the native Palestinians. They are burning houses. They're burning cars. They're throwing rocks through people's windows. Yeah. They've killed even children, burn them alive in their own houses. Yeah. And we see this happening on a daily basis. They are always attacking the native Palestinians with the backing of the Israeli Defense Forces, right? It's state-sponsored violence against the native Palestinians. So nothing. I mean, there are Israeli human rights groups. I mean, like, all jokes aside, they do exist. And there are people there who are these people I won't overglorify because it's a small minority, and you should be against a genocide. I'm not gonna kiss your ass for being pro-humanity. I'm not gonna be like, oh, thank you so much for being against a genocide, right? Because that, by the way, that's always imposed on us as Palestinians. We have to glorify and worship anyone who sees us as human. I don't like that. So I can get into that, but I don't want to get worked up yet. Maybe down the show. This is still early on, you know what I'm saying? So, but there are people who are, they're protesting. They're trying to spread awareness within, our occupied, stolen land. And again, I'm if you're truly pro-Palestine, you would get the hell off my land. Leave. Go back to wherever the hell you come from. You're not from Palestine. You know what I mean? You're from somewhere from Europe, even Brooklyn. You're not even from Brooklyn either. But your family may have went there generations ago. Ukraine. You're from Poland. You're from Germany. Wherever you're from, it's not Palestine. So the majority of the people in Israel, their civilians, are pro-genocide and pro-ethnic cleansing. They don't see us as human. They don't believe in what a Palestinian exists. They don't believe in Palestine exists, or they just call us all Arabs. Yes, we are Arab culturally, a little bit ethnically, but if you just paint us as Arab, you're getting rid of our Palestinian identity and our claim to that land. So we've been there for generations, for centuries, and they deny our existence and they don't see us as human.
Yeah.
But you did. Sorry, if I could bring up one more point, Scott. You brought up a good point So imagine being a Palestinian growing up, where your people get no coverage. The genocide over the past 2 years, which was live streamed, everyone to see on their social medias, on TV, on the news, we started getting somewhat of okay, there's recognition, oh, maybe the Palestinians are telling the truth. Maybe they are the ones who are oppressed. Maybe they are the ones who are facing genocide and apartheid and ethnic cleansing and settler colonialism. It took a 2-year live stream genocide for some people to even wake up a little. And there's a lot of people still sleeping, right? Mm-hmm. So imagine me, me, for example, I have lost, Israel's killed family members of mine for years, for decades. I had family killed in 2008, 2009, or people injured in 2008, 2009. We had people killed in 2014, whether they were bombed or shot or they drowned in the Mediterranean trying to escape. Cousins who I grew up playing with when I used to live in Gaza, they've been killed over the years.
Yeah.
I had people lose limbs in 2018, 2019. They were shot, they were sniped in their legs, and they had to get their leg amputated during the Great March of Return, which was a peaceful protest in Gaza, which was met by, again, death and destruction, because that's what the colonizers do, what Israel did to our people. And it's all caught on video. Like there's video coming out of Israeli soldiers literally like sniping kids for fun and laughing and joking about it.
Mhm.
These people are sick. They're not people. They're demons. They're sick.
Yeah.
And 2021, that was a scary year as well. Like they killed a lot of people. 2014, by the way, there was over 2,200 civilians in Gaza were killed. When Obama was president, didn't do or say shit about it. Excuse my language. And in fact, in 2016, before like he was out, he made the $38 billion deal with Israel. So $3.8 billion of our tax dollars goes over to Israel every year for 10 years.
Yep.
You know, so these are. We'll get into the Democrats and how much I hate them. I don't know if I speak for you guys. I don't like Democrats. We'll get into all that. We will.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of my favorite subjects.
No.
Because I feel like they're in the way, you know, and people that still defend them, just like what Scott always says. How can you still be with a party that committed a genocide? How can you even think of running in that party? How can you even think of voting for them? I don't understand.
And
it has to be just privilege. Like I don't see how it affects me. But now ICE is on our streets. They're using the same tactics. You know, it always comes home. You know, and I didn't need it to get personal to understand what was happening. Once I started seeing it, I'm like, well, there's the evidence. Now I get it. You know, it took me like a day.
And the other thing that was a shock and eye-opening and, you know, revelatory for us ignorant folks was just, you know, okay, we didn't like politicians, you know, we didn't like them. But to witness this whole thing, you know, we see this slaughter on the phones, and then we see our politicians supporting Israel and saying these things and signing these bills to starve them. I mean, starve them with UNRWA. You know, they defunded UNRWA when everyone is saying, guys, that's the main food supply. That is it. They will starve. You know, and
it took one accusation from Israel saying they were involved with the October 7th attacks to have all these Western countries like cut the funding just like that. Like 2 seconds. It goes to show like how much power and influence they have over our politicians and other superpowers, you know, so like AIPAC and other pro-Israel lobbies who are all lobbying and blackmailing our politicians. Like they have a stronghold on all of them. So, I mean, a lot of Democrats too, like it's Democrats and Republicans. You know?
I focused on the Democrats. I was so in shock. I mean, when it was starting, that was Biden. They were in power. They had the power to stop it. And not only did they not do that, they sent billions and billions. And to me, it's not even like, okay, they might have financial control. And I can understand where financial control might be, okay, I'll give them this real estate deal here in Kentucky and I'll do that, you know. Okay, so you're a little corrupt, you get influenced by, but money influences you sign things to kill people and starve them. That's
it just shows that they are completely removed from reality and they need to go. They have to go. We have to get rid of them.
They're psychotic.
Because without us, it wouldn't be happening. I really believe that with all my heart. Like we are the driving force behind a lot of the death and misery in the whole world.
Well, one of the leaders of RDF states that clearly. Oh, he goes, we wouldn't even go a couple days without if we lost the U.S. And, you know, they do the intelligence. They do everything in a way. They provide the really important information, the data, the intelligence, it's all the U.S.
Yeah, this all goes to like show how dehumanized Palestinians are and how acceptable it is to be anti-Palestinian in America still today, anti-Muslim in America still today. And when I say acceptable, I mean like you face no consequences. You face like nothing. You're off the hook. You could say something very racist against a Palestinian or the people or Muslims, and nothing happens to you. Like for example, Congressman Randy Fine from Florida, I was going to make a mean comment, but I'm holding back. He literally has been mocking dead Palestinians since like 2021. You know, he's been mocking dead children. He's calling for ethnic cleansing. He's openly calling for genocide. You know, he's saying like, oh, we should nuke Gaza. Then he took it back. He's like, you know what? There are Jewish hostages there. That's bad. And then the debris will get into Israel. I'm like, you know, he doesn't see us as human. He's openly calling for our death and destruction, and he's a member of Congress. You know, so this blows my mind. Yeah. We have our politicians with their dangerous genocidal rhetoric, like they're spewing it everywhere. And he is a pig. I agree. Those comments like pop up. That's pretty cool. Yeah. But like, he's not the only one that's like Matt Miller. I don't know where is he from, Ohio or something. There's another guy. He said we're going to turn Gaza into a parking lot. Yeah. Another guy said his name is Andy Ogles or something from Tennessee. He goes, kill them all. You know what I mean? Like he said, how about we just kill them all? Yeah. And Rashid Tlaib was literally censured for saying from the river to the sea. Yeah. So we need to all wake up and clearly see like, okay, no, we can't fall for this garbage anti-Semitism ploy anymore. You know, criticizing the states is not anti-Semitic. Right. Being against genocide is not anti-Semitic. Saying you stand for Palestinian human rights and basic dignity is not anti-Semitic at all. So they take this term, they misuse it, they weaponize it to silence any criticism of the state of Israel or of Zionism, and it makes people scared to speak up. There's people who are so scared to say anything when it comes to the Palestinian people, and this genocide that just like unfolded, it's still going on. Has had some people like, you know what, like we need to speak up now, you know. So like we can't keep being silent because of this anti-Semitic accusation that makes no sense, you know. So it's the double standards. Like literally, Rashid Tlaib has faced more consequences for saying from the river to the sea. And they take these slogans and they want to keep victimizing themselves. They want to keep saying, oh, the Jews are the victims, Israel is the victim. You can't be the colonizer and the victim at the same time. You can't be the oppressor and the victim at the same time. You can't keep using your safety and your existence, weaponizing that, like in order to justify the death and destruction of the Palestinian people that you're trying to kill and replace. You know, so it's an insult on intelligence of all of us. We need to wake up. We need to like call them out on their BS, no matter what consequences we have. Like me standing up for my people, I don't give a damn what consequences come after that. You know, I'm not gonna stay silent. I'm going to keep speaking up because, again, like I used to live there. There's people who I grew up playing with have been killed over the years. My house is destroyed. The house that I haven't been able to go back and see. I haven't seen my grandfather. He died as a result of the siege on Gaza. He was an elderly man. You know, he was a diabetic. He needed his medicine, but they cut off food, water, medicine, electricity. They cut everything off, and he ended up dying because of it. Yeah. So in a way, he was killed by it. So if all this, my mom hasn't seen him since we left Gaza in 2001. I was 4. My mom hasn't seen her father since then. And we've been trying to either have him visit, but the siege happened in 2007. And we weren't able to go there, and he wasn't able to leave to see him. So I haven't, like, it impacts everybody, impacts all generations and every aspect of life.
Yeah. I just want people watching to think about that and think about your own family.
Right.
How would that feel? If your family was under attack, you couldn't talk to them. You didn't know how to help them, and you couldn't make it stop. How would you feel? And then you can get it. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, I mean, in the news, you watch something happen on TV, a person, some tragic ending of a person, and you see the family, and they're in grief, and they cover it all, and they ask them all questions, and it's this big deal that goes on, and it's totally valid, goes on for about 2 minutes.
But
How many of those could you do in Gaza every single day?
Yeah, they don't do that. That's the colonizer mentality and the tough guy bullshit. Sorry, gonna say bullshit. Just thinking you can just say whatever with no consequences. I don't understand it. It has to be money. That's money corrupts. So too much money makes you a bad person.
It's worse than that. It's worse than that. I mean, that's
the only reason I can think of for them to still be saying it. They have to be getting paid somehow.
Well, it just made me think of the Israelis citizens, and anytime they do statistics, it's the most horrific statistic. You're shocked. 70% of Israelis think it's okay to rape Palestinian prisoners. I
I
mean,
think it was more than that. Yeah,
Okay.
but like, yeah,
I'm
like
giving
it's
I'm giving
crazy.
it soft. I'm being nice.
Yeah.
Is there a movie that you would recommend for people to watch to kind of understand it? Is there one in particular? I mean, I know there's several. I've seen a few.
A movie to understand the suffering of the Palestinian people.
Yeah.
There's a movie called Farah. It came out a couple years ago. It depicts the Nakba. The Nakba is the catastrophe in Arabic. It happened, well, the time period was technically 1947, December of 1947 until 1949. So during this period, 750,000 Palestinians were displaced from their homeland, forcibly displaced by the Zionist terrorist militias. And there were 15,000 Palestinians who were killed by these militias. People were raped, people were like imprisoned, people were like never found again. And they destroyed over 531 villages, I believe. And this was the creation of the state of Israel, May 14th, 1948. So the Nakba, we commemorate it on May 15th, 1948. So this movie, it was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still there, but it's called Farah. And it shows the story of like an example of the Nakba happening. So the Zionist militias coming and literally stealing houses, burning shit down, uprooting olive trees, which is, very important to us. Burning farms, destroying schools, mosques, churches, hotels, whatever, anything you can think of. They went in there, destroyed everything, expelled everyone, killed 15,000 people, and they said, okay, now this is the state of Israel. And again, they still play the victim to
take away
that.
what was rightfully theirs. Yeah. Can you spell that for our audience? The name of
Wait,
the
hold
movie?
on.
If you can think of it.
Farah.
Okay.
Farah. But to take away what did you say? Sorry.
What was rightfully belonged to the Palestinian people? That was their homes. That was their land. That's their family. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've been there for generations. Like my family, we're originally from Gaza, like before 1948, right? Like we're originally from Gaza. We've been there for hundreds of years. And a lot of people before the borders, like during the Ottoman Empire and stuff like that, before the British mandate, we went to Jaffa, which is another coastal city, which is Tel Aviv now. But we were there for generations as well, working. It was a big, it was a market there. There was a lot of oranges being sold from there. There was a lot of fishermen, a lot of trade happening from that port. So we were there working, and we lived there. We had houses there too. And then the Nakba, this happened, like in the movie Farah I talked about. So some of my family members got like split up. Some of them ended up in like Lebanon or Syria, Jordan. Like people went to Kuwait, people went to Egypt, then we went back to Gaza. So like my family went back to Gaza. And yeah, I mean, they've been under like 1948 until 1967. Gaza was under the like Egyptian like administration, right? And in 1967, that's when Israel fully occupied all of Palestine. So the 6-Day War, June 5th, I believe, June 5th, 1967, they occupied East Jerusalem, the West Bank from Jordan, Gaza from Egypt. Well, when I say from Egypt, like this is still our land, but like, they had like administrative power. They took the Golan Heights from Syria, which that's another hot topic now.
Yeah.
And they took the Sinai Peninsula from Egypt as well. So there, I mean, even before that, sorry, like one more thing, if I can add one more thing. 1956, there were 2 massacres in Gaza. The Khan Yunis massacre, where we're from, and the Rafah massacre. And they actually occupied Gaza, the first time they occupied Gaza, for about 4 months. So nobody knows this. Like Israel came into Gaza. This was during the Suez crisis. There was like some problems with the Suez Canal with Egypt and Britain and France. And Israel got involved, and they lined up all the men and boys outside, and they literally shot them down in cold blood during the day in front of everybody. So they executed over, I believe it was over 250 in Khan Yunis and like more in Rafah. So again, like they want to cry about October 7th, 2023. Like nobody talks about the Nakba. You killed literally 15,000 people you killed, and you took over their homes and their land. And then the 1956 massacres in Khan Yunis and Rafah, and then you have the Six-Day War of June 1967. I believe 1 million Palestinians were displaced from there.
Mm-hmm.
We call it the setback. It's called the Nexa. And nobody knows these like historical, like, you know, like root causes, like injustices against my people. So I'm rambling. I'll pause there.
No.
You're not rambling.
And it's very helpful. I mean, you know, I certainly knew some things before October 7th because I both Edie and I followed Abby Martin, and Abby Martin's been covering it for quite a few years before. But still, not, you know, we had no idea of the history. I mean, again, with American propaganda, we just had no idea of any of this. I didn't know that it was an apartheid state. I had no idea. You know, so it's very helpful. And you know, they show the maps of Palestine when it was Palestine. And it's, you know, again, it's disheartening to think that our humankind can't get it together to fight this incredible evil. And I mean, I've said so many times on this show how Yemen is my favorite country in the world because they're the only ones. They're the only ones that actually try. You know, through military force, the little that they have, they still try to stop this, and nobody else has.
And South Africa tried the legal route too, and the reason is because they understand because they've been through something similar.
Yeah,
I think that's why. You know, I'm sure our Native American people kind of get it.
They got a few words to say about the subject. Yes, certainly.
I had a question in my mind. I mean, it's still, you know, I still get emotional, you know, which I think is a good thing.
I was going to say, you know, for folks to get the precise news on everything, I do recommend Electronic Intifada. But honestly, I have a hard time. I hear all, you know, and they give the individual cases of the people and the families, you know, who were killed, and they you know, list them all as the news of the day or news of the week, and it's rough. It's rough.
And I am extremely disappointed in the UN for not doing the General Assembly vote that they could be doing.
Yeah, I mean,
and to America, just stop it.
Like, vetoes everything. You know, the UN Security Council.
Well, there's a way to get around it, but they're not doing it.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. So if you do a vote of the General Assembly, which has like a 3/4 supermajority, every country gets a vote, and it's majority rule.
Yeah. Well, the UN to me is useless. So like they're useless.
Yeah.
I mean, any diplomatic means to deal with the terrorist state of Israel is useless to me because we've tried it. Palestinians have literally, the PLO has denounced armed struggle. They gave away their weapons in 1993, and they recognized Israel as a state. They negotiated with Israel as a state. This went against the 3 no's that all of the Arabs agreed on: no recognition, no peace, no whatever, no peace talks or anything like that. They did all that, and it was Oslo Accords, 93, Oslo 1, 95, Oslo 2, and to get statehood. And what happens? Nothing. Nothing happened. We didn't get a state. We were more fragmented. There was a second intifada that happened, which I was in Gaza during the time. It started September 28th, 2000, and it lasted almost 5 years. It ended in 2005, early 2005, and 5,000 Palestinians were killed during this time, and including children, including women, including elderly. So it's not just like men who are people think they're targets because they could be of army or fighting age. So that that dehumanizes men, Palestinian men, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have to keep saying oh yeah, by the way, they're killing kids, they're killing infants, they're killing people who are 70 plus years old.
Right.
So it sucks.
Well, they're killing civilians. They're killing regular people just going about their life.
Yep. But we've been so dehumanized, and the propaganda that's been in America that's been perpetuated here, it blows my mind. It used to piss me off so much. I used to wear a Free Gaza shirt in 2014 to my high school, and I would get a lot of disgusting comments. And they would say, "Oh, you guys are terrorists." We would automatically people just think we're inherently evil, that we're inherently terrorists, we're inherently bad, because they're brainwashed and they don't know the full story, and it's just easy to associate. That's the power of conditioning the public through the media, through pop culture, through like even sports and music, movies, shows, whatever. Like every like facet of life, there was dehumanizing rhetoric about my people, whether it's Palestinians, whether it's Arabs in general, whether it's Muslim people. Like a lot of people were so damn ignorant. Like they think Arab and Muslim is synonymous. I'm like, no, that's not the case at all. Arab is an ethnicity group. A Muslim is one who practices Islam.
Right.
Islam means submission to God. Muslim is one who submits to God. And there's a lot of Arab, like Jews. There's a lot of Arab Christians. There's Arab atheists. There's Arab Muslims, obviously.
Yep.
And in fact, majority of Muslims are not even like Arab. Majority of Muslims are like from Indonesia. They make up the majority of Islam.
Okay.
Arabs make up about 15 to 20% of the population, the demographic. So
okay, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
most Arabs, I would say, are Muslim, but not most Muslims are Arab. So whatever. Yeah, Indonesians make up the majority of Islam.
Okay.
Again, these are things that people don't know, and like they're so damn brainwashed, and we get dehumanized through this rhetoric. They condition the public to hate us. They condition the public to hate us to justify the actions against us. To justify all those damn wars that have torn countries apart, that have killed civilians, destroyed agriculture in like those countries. People who like made their living off farming, basic stuff like that. And then they want to try about refugees. They want to try about problems. Like I'm like, stop creating refugees. Stop going in there and bombing their damn countries, or sanctioning them to death, or backing militias and groups and coups. And then all of a sudden they take power. And then all of a sudden you want to fight them now. Like you supplied them, you created them, you propped them up. So like it's really like an endless cycle.
And Israel will not stop there.
No, they're after all those countries, all of them. Yeah, the greater Israel. Yep.
Yeah.
And should they succeed, they won't stop there either.
Yeah.
I mean, once you allow this to happen, there is no stopping it. They would run over the whole world if they could.
Yeah.
And our country has done this in so many places around the world, and now they're looking at Venezuela because they want that oil, and they want to do a coup so they can put that woman in there. That will just hand it to American companies. It's just
she's pro-Israel, by the way. She's a Zionist.
Yeah, she wanted Netanyahu to come over and.
Yeah, the current president, he's pro-Palestine. I mean, when I say pro-Palestine, like it's like you're pro-humanity. You know what I mean? I hate saying pro-Palestine. Like you should be against genocide and apartheid and ethnic cleansing. You should be on like the side of humanity, right? But I'll just say it because it's easier. The current president is pro-Palestine, and they've already said like Hezbollah and Hamas and Iran proxies. They're working with Venezuela. They're trying to attack American soil. Like we've seen this garbage before in the early 2000s. We've seen this.
Yeah.
Why we were in the Arab world because of like Netanyahu and all these warmongers, like selling these wars overseas and having Americans go over there, waste our resources, waste our tax dollars, have our people be killed because of other people's problems that they created.
Yeah, well, it just makes me think about the money we send, and I'm thinking about Illinois right now, since I'm running for lieutenant governor with my amazing teammate and top of the ticket, Miss Griselda Romero. She said day one she's going to start looking at the budget. We have like $100 million in Israel bonds.
Yeah,
145, I think.
145
million.
Yeah.
How does that make any sense for Illinois? How does it make any sense even on a financial level? Because it's going to fall. I mean, it can't withstand this. The people of the world say no, and eventually we will win. I just wish it was sooner rather than later. I wish it was like October 8th.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's true. I don't know. I wish I had a more positive, opinion of the outcome. And I was very hopeful when there was the whole fleet of boats heading there, and that we could actually have some kind of impact. And then I'd mentioned Petro, is that his name, the leader who called for a civilian global army to invade Gaza, and that was the most exciting thing that I'd heard. And then I don't hear anything. I was out on the internet today trying to find something about it. I have seen nothing, because and that's the other thing that's really, really, really gross is when you see that your country's on the wrong side. And you're like, And especially, growing up, with all the American propaganda, the good guys, and it's blatantly obvious that we're the bad guys. And it's just, and again, I just, I was like, well, we have Yemen out there helping, but it's just, we do need that. I wish that I could have heard more about Petro, or if they just followed up on that, because that's what we need. That's the only thing. America is not going to. America will finish off the Palestinians if allowed to. So,
well, yeah, and America is following the path that all empires have followed, and it will crumble. I just don't know as an empire.
Yeah.
Because they're overextending, they're ignoring the needs of the people, and all they invest in is war. And that destroys every empire that's ever tried that. Let's just be a country among countries. And, value human rights and follow the law. And I don't see that it's that hard. Maybe I'm naive, but, treat people with respect and dignity. And you don't need to do much else past that.
Well, it's certainly Americans' fault for not paying attention to what goes on and allowing over the decades for it to get worse and worse and worse and worse until, I don't know. I mean, obviously our country's been killing by the millions for decades. So, but now that we have it on our phones and we can see it and we've got proof, that's to me what changed about this, is that now we all see it. And in just the most horrific graphic detail that is, I have to close my eyes a lot when I have my phone because it's so rough. But yeah.
Well, I'll just tell a little personal story. I was protesting the Iraq War because my son was sent there. He, economic draft, basically. They're leaving young people less and less opportunity to have any kind of life, and then they allow military recruiters that blow smoke up their butts into high schools, which should not be allowed, in my opinion.
Yeah, right.
They have no business in there.
No.
So I was protesting the Iraq War. My son was over there, and he joined during peacetime just to get an education, because those were the people offering free education. And I remember somebody speaking on Palestine, and I had no idea. And the crowd just became uncomfortable. Like they didn't know what to think, because the propaganda had been drilled into us our whole lives and we didn't even know it. So somebody there speaking the truth, and I had no idea,
Oh, I mean, yeah, my whole personal story was, because of Abby Martin, I wrote a song. I'm a songwriter, and I wrote a song called "A Palestinian in Gaza." And I can remember being terrified of going up on stage and singing that song the first time. I was terrified because I knew that the crowd around me was not into this at all. And it was, so, I mean, we had to we haven't convinced all Americans, but we've had to go through a process to get people to understand and believe what's going on. So
I want to jump in here real quick you brought up a point about like our corrupt state of Illinois. We were the first state in 2015, Governor Ronner, to be like anti-BDS, boycott, divest, sanctions. We were the first state to do that.
Yep.
So basically, in the state of Illinois, if you boycott, divest, or sanction Israel, if you're like a company that does this, you get penalized by the state of Illinois withdrawing its pension funds from your company, or they stop investing from you. And this is a clear violation of freedom of speech, freedom of protest, freedom. You know what I mean? It's a clear violation of your freedom, the First Amendment. So, and I mean, a lot of it, like my community, when I say my community, the Palestinians, the Muslim community, we are lacking in terms of building political power here in America. Things have changed recently where we're getting there. We're building coalitions. We are trying to push for our cause more, educate people, but it's very hard, and a lot of people are scared and still being cowards about it. They don't want to be silenced, or they don't want to lose opportunities, whatever. But we let these things happen. We let our enemy have so much political power and control and influence, whether it's like state and local politicians and obviously federal. But we need to stop neglecting like state and local politicians. You know what I mean? Like I meet with mayors like around the area. I met with even trustees or commissioners, even at a county level. So it's not, people just focus more on like oh, who's president? You know what I mean? Like we gotta stop doing that. We gotta like actually be engaged, civically engaged on all levels. You know, I think it's everyone's obligation. You know what I mean? Like we have these freedoms as Americans. Like if you're an American citizen, we have a lot of rights. And another thing I wanted to mention was, well, on the anti-BDS, we're trying to, Abdelnasser Rashid, he's a representative, I think the 21st district here in Illinois.
Okay.
He is trying to get that repealed, as it should be repealed, because it's a garbage. I don't want the damn government telling me like who I can and cannot boycott. That's up to me to decide. If I want to boycott my mom, I'll do that. You know, no one can tell me I can't. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she'll tell me no, but like I'm saying, the government's not going to tell me what to do, right? It's political. It's my power, my buying power. You're not going to take that away from me. So they're doing that. They're suppressing our freedom for the interest of a foreign state. You know what I mean? Like this is insane. It should piss everyone off. And Illinois is not the only state. It's about like 38 states that have this. We saw in Texas. You know what I mean? States have to pledge support for Israel to get like hurricane relief. Like what the hell is that?
Yeah, Abby Martin was stopped from doing a speech in some southern state because she wouldn't be willing to sign something saying that she would not boycott and divest and sanction Israel. So yeah, I mean it, and you know, I went to a kind of a teach-in on that subject in Evanston maybe a year ago, and you know, everybody was like, "What? Illinois passed what? What did we do?" I mean, it was so weird that they even knew back in 2015. Oh, okay, we better block this BDS crap, right? Yeah. So I mean,
and it took this long for it to happen. Like Abdelnasser Rashid has been pushing for the last year or so to get this repealed, and there are groups, anti-Zionist Jewish groups, who are also like fighting with us to get that repealed, as it should be repealed. Again, I don't care if it says like even if you get penalized for boycotting Palestine, I would be against like if someone wants to boycott Palestine, fucking let them. Like I'm not. The government shouldn't tell us like who we can and cannot support. You know what I'm saying? So it just goes. I'm big on individual freedom. That's my whole thing. So.
Okay.
Well, and the reason they're fighting it so hard because it was effective in South Africa.
And it's effective now too. BDS is working.
Well, I'm just saying that's why they're trying to stop it, because they know it will stop it. That it will end the struggle. Because no money, you can't continue doing what you're doing.
And the reality is the only positive solution that I see, in my opinion, is that Israel has to be dissolved. It has to. It cannot. It is a society based on hate. It's a racist society based on supremacy, and that has to be dissolved.
Speaking my language now, I like this.
What is this two-state solution? You can't have two states with an oppressor and people being victimized.
There was a really good, I don't know if you'd heard that, William, there was a really good example for us, growing up and, with the American education of, I think it was Zoran Mamdani's father who had spoke on this. And he said, the two-state solution, look at the two-state solution in America. That was reservations for Native Americans. And look how that turned out. So, that idea of two-state solution, I mean, Israel didn't want one, but that idea itself is not a solution, because that's what ends up, you isolate and, it's already obviously isolation, and again, I would just speak to so much of what our education has been these past 2 years. I mean, I had no idea that there was an airport in Gaza. I think it was, I can't remember who was.
Arafat's airport. And it was opened in 98. I was there when it was opening in 1998. And it was destroyed in 2000 or 2001 by Israel during the Second Intifada. So Bill Clinton went there, by the way. Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, they went there during the inauguration. They met my granduncle. He was a politician, and there's pictures of them together.
Wow.
My granduncle also came to I think it was the Abraham Accords back in 2000, or Camp David Accords in 2000. So a little fun fact. Sorry about the airport in Gaza.
Right. I mean, again, we had no idea. We had no.
Well, most Americans don't know what lies outside our borders because we're not encouraged to learn.
Well, I mean, think of all the movies that we have seen about the Holocaust in Germany, right? We certainly know that education.
They wanted us to know that. But I wanted to change, tone a little bit because you recently spoke.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's two things I wanted to mention before we change the subject, if I can.
Yep.
So number one, I've been very critical of America most of my life for a lot of different reasons. However, I want to start being more intentional with like what I say and what I do. Meaning, I am critical of Americans' foreign policy. Their foreign policy, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to shift my speech, my dialogue a little bit because I am an American citizen, right? I was born here. I left, came back. I mean, I wish I could be born and raised in my own land, like normal people. But obviously, because of America supporting the colonizer, that's not the case. They destroyed my house. They stole our land and everything. Yeah. However, like I left America because I was so pissed off and like my tax dollars are contributing to the killing of my people, my family. I left. I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm gone. I went overseas and I learned the hard way, like how privileged I am to be an American citizen, right? So there are privileges we have as American citizens, yeah. Compared to a lot of countries overseas. People are dying to come here. There's a reason why people are fighting to let immigrants stay, right, in America, because we come here, we do have opportunity. Like it's not perfect, obviously. Like I don't want America. I'm against imperialism. I'm against American foreign occupations or backing militias or sanctioning countries. I don't want us to be ruining other countries. So that's why I do not like American foreign policy at all. Mm-hmm. But I can vote here, right? I can run for office here. I have freedom of speech here to an extent. Obviously, some people are trying to get rid of that. I do have freedoms here as an American citizen. And that, me saying this, it'll piss a lot of my peers off, which pisses me off, that it pisses them off. But like, you know what I mean? Like there's, like I learned this all the hard way. Like I used to be very like anti-America, but like I changed I'm more intentional. And I was going to say something. That doesn't mean I absolve America of its crimes, of its sins. We know about slavery. We know about what happened to the Native Americans. We know about every immigrant group that comes here and what they face, even like Europeans, like the Irish, the Italians, the Polish. Like we've seen that, even like they do it to white people. It's like xenophobia is in America, racism. There's systematic racism. We can't deny these things. We can't deny what's slavery and Jim Crow, police brutality. We can't. These things are not deniable. So I could still be a proud American. I could be proud of being American with the freedoms and the stuff that I have, right, to an extent. And the change that I can make. The fight happens here politically, right? So we want to isolate Israel as much as possible. And who's supporting Israel the most? Us, because of those weasels are here and they're influencing everything and they're controlling everything. Blackmailing our politicians and whatnot, lobbying everybody. So we want to show like, hey, we want a America first, America only like type of agenda, right? Meaning we don't want to keep supporting a foreign state. We want our tax dollars to help the people here. We have over 700,000 people who are homeless in America, right? We have that's my brother. I didn't know he was. Oh. we have over 700,000 people homeless. We have now it's $38 trillion in debt. Like the federal debt, like that's insane. And we pay billions just on the interest a year. Like our federal budget is allocated to that. We have a lot of our military spending is ridiculous. It's really high. We spend like a crap ton. But I want to focus more on domestically.
It's over $1 trillion a year now to the Pentagon.
Yeah.
So you just stop doing that. We're fine. Yeah. And could you imagine investing that here and not creating havoc around the world? No, I just wanted to ask you about the Palestine Convention from American Muslims for Palestine. You spoke at that. You went there. You said it was your favorite one.
Yeah, so American Muslims for Palestine, AMP, they host this annual event, and it's called the Palestine Convention. So this was their 18th. So I was invited as the guest speaker. So I joined the Gaza panel, which I was very grateful to be joining. Such amazing, speakers, people who I look up to and stuff like that. They do a lot of good work for our cause. It was my favorite. Usually it runs from Thanksgiving until like that Sunday, I believe, or Saturday. So it's a couple days long. They have speakers from around America come join and they talk about Palestine, whether people from different like social media experts, influencers, politicians. There was politicians there,
Mm.
different types of people, whether it's people like who are culturally like just known, like they talk about culture or history, professors, whatever the case is. It was amazing. It was vibrant. There was a lot of, everyone left, and we still had the energy with us for a few days. Like it was sad it was over. A lot of people were like exhausted, like because they put in a lot of work for it, but it was very amazing. It was very vibrant. So I'm glad that I was able to be there as a speaker, and it was my favorite one. So yeah, I recommend you guys go next year, hopefully.
All right, yeah, definitely. I did want to go back to what you were saying, was that how you appreciate that here that you can vote, and I think that we don't really think about that, but in a way we do, because look where we are. We're in a political party. We're trying to run candidates and get people to vote for them, and so we get that part of it. That is true. A lot of countries don't have it, and we kind of theorize here all the time that is the way that we can non-violently break the system. We can break the system if we get, third party in, specifically for us, Green Party, into office. We can break this system. And so I think I appreciate that you were saying that, there are parts of America that you really, really appreciate, because, I'm old. I've never shot a gun in my life. I don't think I could do revolution like not by, I could try, but I got the beret, but that's about it, right?
Well, and I also wanted
like
to
it.
say that the only time things have changed in this country is when you put pressure on from outside of the system, and people go on strike.
Yeah.
And Scott and I have been pushing for a general strike for a very long time, and I keep hearing murmurs, and I'm like, when are people going to get it? That's your power. You don't have to spend money. You can, we need to realize the dire circumstances we're in, because it always comes back home. People that think it will never affect them are not facing reality. Maybe I'm just too deep into it, and I can see the writing on the wall. I don't want it to happen anywhere, but I know that it's going to come back here. It already is with ICE. They are like IDF light.
Yeah.
They're kidnapping people. They're throwing them in, killing them. No food, no water. Just, it's like the beginning. It's like the seeds of what's going on around the world. And I'm like, if y'all don't get it now, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. To be honest, I hate when people compare to Palestine for anything. Like I get where you're getting.
I apologize then.
No, it's all good. Like I get like the connections you're trying to make. But me, just seeing the complete, like the contrast between how my family's living in Gaza right now, not even just my family in Gaza, like Palestinians in the West Bank as well, or in the 48 region, which is Israel. Like I have a friend, she's in the West Bank. She was, her apartment was raided several times over the last few months. And one of the times that they raided her apartment, the whole building, they zip tied her for hours, and they beat her. They recorded and they made fun of her. So like, to me, I get really annoyed and pissed off when people try to make, I'm not talking about you direct, I'm talking about in general. Like I hate when people make these comparisons, because it kind of tries to like oversimplify what the Palestinian suffering is, our cause, and it like dilutes our struggle in a way. Because when people say ICE and IDF are similar, or they're the same, like IDF is literally committing genocide. IDF is starving people to death. IDF is sniping children. They're committing ethnic cleansing and apartheid. All these things, we know that. I'm not saying like ICE is not doing shitty stuff here in America. Like, being separated from family, like separating people from families is obviously messed up. But there's no comparison, like with what the terrorist state of Israel is doing to my people. I don't want people to make these connections and for their own political agenda, or just to simplify things, or just to be against the system, or say it's all connected, or be anti-capitalist, whatever the case is. Like I get where people are trying to go. Like there are shared struggles amongst all the oppressed groups, obviously, but just seeing like how comfortable we are, like us being citizens, like there nothing compares to the situation in Gaza, or like even in Palestine in general. Yeah. So
one thing that bugs me, and again, I'm coming from a person not directly involved, But one thing that does bug me is the overuse of the term genocide, because I hear people just using it as a casual, oh my God, it's a genocide over here. No. What Israel is doing is a genocide that's even different than really bad exploitation in the mines, where people are suffering. That's different. They still want those people to work. Israel is systematically trying to destroy the entire people and its culture and everything. I mean, bombing of hospitals, chopping down of trees. Every single thing has to do with genocide. I mean, it was a big deal to get that term to be accepted, and then for me to hear people overusing it, that's also pissing me off, because Gaza is a genocide, folks. Some of those other things are bad. They're not genocide.
There's 5 elements to meet like the Genocide Convention. I think this was passed like after World War II. The UN may have created this. I think the Genocide Convention. But there are 5 elements, and Israel literally is like, they check off every single box. All 5 elements, they are, committing genocide in Gaza. It's clear as day. It's not, people think it's just like killing of people. It's more than that. That's an element of genocide, but Israel meets all 5 elements of genocide. It's like removing children, calculating to destroy aspects of life, preventing births, things like that. Yeah, history, causing bodily or psychological harm, which clearly they're doing. And it's very obvious. And if you deny that it's genocide, I think you're just a sick person at that point. Yeah. But even if you don't want to call it genocide, it's clearly wrong what's happening in Gaza, like what Israel is doing to the people of Gaza and Palestine as a whole. So it's really annoying. And then there's another point you brought up earlier. We are constantly taught about the Holocaust, which is important. We should learn about the Holocaust. But there are so many different actual genocides there are so many different genocides that happened throughout history. Yeah. Rwanda, the Armenian genocide, the Bosnian genocide, which happened in the 90s. 8,000, Muslims were killed, Bosnian Muslims, men and boys. And I know people who survived that, by the way. They're in the Chicagoland area, and they tell me stories. It's horrific. How come we're not learning about that? The Cambodian genocide. How come we're not learning? What happened to Congo from the Belgian people? King Leopold, what he did to Congo was horrific. Why are we not learning about this? They want to keep focusing on Hitler and the Holocaust and this and that. Every damn year in the school system, we're reading a book, we're watching a movie, we're going to the Holocaust Museum. It's beaten, we're beat to death with it. We should learn about it. Don't get me wrong. Yes, but it shouldn't be focused or prioritized or
the only thing that's highlighted. Learn. Yeah,
exactly. Because to me, that's a way to keep making them the perpetual victims. That's how they sell their victimhood in order to make us scared to speak up against the atrocities that they're committing. So that goes to the anti-Semitism ploy that they use to weaponize to silence any criticism of the terror state of Israel. Yeah. And then so there's Zionism, which, it's the political ideology that weaponizes Judaism. It's Jewish supremacy. That's what I say. But me as a Palestinian, us as the oppressed people, we have so many expectations that are imposed on us. So I have to make a distinction between a Zionist Jew and an anti-Zionist Jew, right? Mm-hmm. Because I don't give a shit who the person is that is committing the atrocities on my people. I want it to stop, period. If it's Arabs, I want it to stop. That doesn't mean I'm anti-Arab. If it's Muslims, I want it to stop. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean I'm anti-Muslim. Mm-hmm. It just so happens to be a group of people who weaponize their identity and they use it as a shield, and I can't even identify them. Otherwise, I'll be deemed anti-Semitic. Yeah. And I can't identify them how they classify themselves. They're the ones who weaponize Judaism and being Jewish and their identity. It's not me. You're the one who's committing these atrocities against my people. Why can't I say oh, I want these people to stop? I get more shit for that than they do for committing the genocide and apartheid and ethnic cleansing of my people. So that really pisses me off. I don't like that. And I will say I've met Jewish people who are very pro-Palestine, against pro-humanity, who are very against what Israel's doing. And they say, this is Zionism. They say, okay, this is Zionism. They're weaponizing my identity, my religion, my whatever, my culture to commit the atrocities in the name of Judaism and the Talmud, the Torah, whatever. It's shoved down our throats. Like I see the state of Israel says it's a Jewish state. The Star of David is on their flag. They talk about the Torah and the Talmud to incite violence against us. They call us goyim and goy and cattle, and like we're subhuman. They carve the Star of David on our land. They brand Palestinian prisoners or Palestinian hostages with the Star of David on their face, on their heads. There's pictures of it everywhere. And we get more shit for saying, can the Jews stop doing this? We get more shit for saying literally Jew or Jewish. It's like a slur now. I'm like, they're doing all this. They say they're Jews, but I can't even say Jew. I can't say Jewish. Right. And it just makes me mad. Go ahead before I say something.
No, I was going to just add, I don't know if you know Nick Cruz at Revolutionary Blackout Network, but he really dug in and he said, yes, difference between Zionism and Judaism. Sure. He goes, but the reality is and he kind of found some stats, like 97% of synagogues in this country support it. So, there's a pretty famous anti-Zionist synagogue in Chicago. And, it's like the only one. So there's a real problem there. If a religious institution can't recognize the slaughter of a people and speak out against it, that's a problem. So there's a problem with the synagogues in America too. So it isn't, it isn't simply Israel.
Yeah, it's majority. I would say majority of the Jewish people are Zionist. There are a few who are not, and there's a lot of allies who stand up and speak as you should. But I'm expected again to overglorify this tiny minority of people who speak for basic human rights. I appreciate allies. It's important. Allyship is not exceptional. I think it's accepted or expected in this case. Right? You should be against the slaughter of innocent civilians.
Always.
So, but all these accusations are confessions. We say that about of Zionists, right? They accuse us of something. They're the ones who actually, it's a confession. They're actually doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
every accusation is a confession.
Yeah. So they're literally indoctrinated at a young age they're brainwashed to literally not see Palestinians as human, to see us as inherently evil, inherently demonic or terrorists, that we're trying to genocide them. We're trying to kill them and take their land, deprive them of their safety. So they're brainwashed to believe all this garbage, and that's why they come here and they kill. They go to Palestine and they kill Palestinians with no remorse. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's all caught on video. It's terrible the things they say. They're genocidal. They're maniacs. They don't see us as humans. But again, who gets more heat? Me or anyone, even if we say Jew, we get more shit for that than them committing atrocities. They get away with impunity. They cheer for our death and destruction. If you see their soccer fans, they literally say death to Arabs, may your village burn, we're going to kill you. They're pro-rape. They're pro-rape literally, like you mentioned earlier. They were mad that Israeli soldiers were caught or in trouble for not even in trouble, the fact that it was mentioned that they were raping Palestinian hostages. They were for it. No, they should do that. They're allowed to do that. They're a sick society, and I'm not going to overglorify the small amount that is human enough to say I'm against these inhumane actions. It shouldn't be imposed on me.
I'm not going to glorify them, but I certainly have Jewish friends who I have watched really struggle because I'm atheist, I'm separate, it's easy for me to just take on a cause, and they certainly see now what's happened, and they certainly understand and have our same feelings, but they grew up in this and their family influence, and they talk about their parents and how much it was a part of their life. So they've really had to go through a path more than the path I went through, and they fully support, but they had to go through a unique kind of
kind of like a deprogramming in a way.
Right.
Gabor Mate talks about that.
Okay.
He was raised as a Zionist, and he came to the conclusion that that's not who he is, and that's just complete bullshit. So he has been speaking out a lot on behalf of Palestine and calling them out everywhere he goes.
And my main source of information about Gaza is from Jews, right? Max Blumenthal and Aaron Mate. Those are my two sources.
Yeah, and Aaron Mate is Gabor Mate's son. But you know, those are like bigger names that can like push it. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I know it's.
I hate that we're still that we still need to talk about it. I love that people are still in the streets, but we got to do more, people.
I know.
Because it's not stopped.
We need an army, folks. We need a citizens' army. I can't be the leader of that. I got no military. Maybe we need to speak to colonial outcast folks. They have military experience. Let's talk to them.
Well, and I think the fake ceasefire was called because there was so much, press around, the flotillas going, and just like, everybody trying everything they could think of to get there to bring them supplies and to try to break the siege. But because as soon as that was announced, everybody stopped covering it.
Well, my take was that it was to give the mainstream media something to say. Okay, it's over now. We can move on to something else. That's my concept of why they called something a ceasefire. I mean, Israel has never done a ceasefire in their entire existence.
They're still bombing Lebanon.
For a day have they done a ceasefire in any country? I mean, Lebanon, they've had them, and
they're bombing Lebanon, Syria, and Gaza, and they're attacking people on the West Bank as well. So
yeah. We watched that the guy from Infinite Jazz about that woman that was beaten because his car was getting attacked, and then the settler beat that woman, and that made huge news. I mean,
that's like a daily basis. Imagine there's stories that don't even get
but to see it,
yeah, like people who don't record like what's actually happening. But if I can, I know we're a little over. If I can say one more thing.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, you take all the time you want.
I appreciate it. So this is what needs to happen, in my opinion, effectively. So obviously, number one, we need a real ceasefire in Gaza, or Israel needs to stop doing what the hell it's doing to everybody, in that region. They're the pariah state, they're a terrorist state. So a real ceasefire in Gaza. There needs to be humanitarian aid flooded into Gaza. I'm talking about not restricting the flow of it. By the way, there's only about 30 or 40% of the agreed upon aid has been allowed in. So they're restricting a lot of these trucks from coming in. I think I mentioned earlier, I don't know if I said it on the show or before we started, but they're not allowing nutritious food into Gaza. So the food that they allow in, it's expired. There's worms in it, and it's like chocolate. It's junk food. It's chips. It's not really nutritious food, right? Yeah. But I mean, there was an engineered famine, so whatever they get is they're satisfied with. But they will have a one meal a day. It's very limited. This is what my family's telling me on the ground, and their tents have been flooded. Everything is destroyed. So it's really day-to-day life is hell. So number one, a real ceasefire. Number two, flood Gaza with humanitarian aid. So that means lifting the siege. There's been a siege on Gaza since June of 2007. So it was the world's largest open-air prison. So this siege has impacted everybody, people in it and outside of it. So if you have family there, I wasn't able to go see my family. My family wasn't able to leave. And if there are rare cases where people can leave, and it's very, very, very difficult, and it's very stressful. There have been people with brain tumors or cancer in Gaza during the time of the siege from 2007 until 2023, which, I mean, the siege is still on, but before the genocide started, they weren't able to leave Gaza to get the treatment that they needed, and they died in Gaza with brain tumors, with cancer, with whatever the case was, because they weren't able to get the treatment. So lift the damn siege, the air, the sea, the land blockade on Gaza needs to be lifted. It's inhumane. And then after that, we need the end of the Israeli military occupation. This is the root cause of all the issues. All of this creates resistance. People want to talk about resistance and blame the resistance for everything. Resistance is the byproduct of the occupation. Yeah. If you don't want resistance groups, if you don't want Hamas, any other armed struggle groups, then don't fucking give them a reason to resist. End the occupation. Right. So end Israeli military occupation, dismantle apartheid, the West Bank, Gaza, East Jerusalem, the 48 region. Apartheid is basically is Jewish supremacy, making one group dominate the other group through a bunch of bullshit laws. So for example, Palestinians are subjected to military law in the West Bank. They don't go through the Israeli civilian law that other Jews there go through, and there's supposed to be no like Israeli Jews in the West Bank, by the way. Like there's 700,000 settlers there. They're not supposed to be there. That's Palestinian land.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that I'm being nice, by the way. There's other things I want to say, but I don't want to get canceled, at least yet. And then there's something else. So after the dismantling apartheid, decolonize Palestine. This would be the final step. So Palestine needs to be decolonized, ending Israeli military occupation, the apartheid, the siege, and they need to get the hell out of my land and give us our land back.
Yeah.
So,
And if I may be so bold as to add, and then hold people accountable for what they did.
Well,
oh yeah. But they're used to, like, Israeli impunity it blows my mind. You know, like they're literally just they're still committing a genocide on live TV, and the world is just watching.
Yeah.
The people in the neighboring regions are allowing this to happen. Forget the fact that, like, okay, nobody wants to step in to help fight the terrorist Israeli Defense Forces. The fact that people don't even get like food and water into these engineered famine areas into Gaza, that blows my mind. That like breaks my heart, you know. So obviously the world has failed us. The world has failed my people. But you know, we're very resilient, and we, you know, will continue to exist and resist, you know. So
yeah. Well, thank you, William, for coming on. I know it's I mean, really appreciate all bringing the history that, you know, like I said, Ian and I are still kind of in the learning process of the history. So, yeah. And, you know, we got to continue to speak out everywhere we can, because, yeah. And I'm hoping for this army to show up. I mean, you know, we need an invasion. We need an invasion. That's for sure. Whoever it's comprised of, you know.
I agree. There needs to be military intervention for sure. But I mean, if it didn't happen in the last 2 years, like when they're literally slaughtering women and children, elderly and men, like on our screens on a daily basis, like how's it going to happen? When they're killing journalists, when they're killing doctors, when they're destroying residential areas, when they're destroying schools, mosques, churches, like what the hell? Like where is humanity? Where's the world? Where's international law? You know?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, apparently it doesn't exist.
No, international law definitely doesn't. That's for sure.
When it counts, it's not there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, it's been very much an awakening for me. When you think things are bad, you find out they're worse around the world. And, you know, the people of the world have to take control of their own governments and make them do what's right. That's all I can think of to say, because I know the protests around the world have been huge, but it's still not getting the job done.
No.
So
yeah, we got to hold our leaders accountable, and I mean, we become leaders. You know, we run for office. You know, take over something.
Yeah.
I mean that's why we're a Green Party. We're the third largest party now, and we are you know, for a free Palestine and just for humanity around the world. You know, civil foreign policy, one that doesn't hurt people. You know, yeah. I mean, can you imagine having people like us running the country? Things would be so different.
Yeah.
Some people might be scared if that was me, but no, I'm kidding. But some of my friends are like, I don't know about that. But.
No, I mean, you know, that is also a reality. Is, you know, the people who are no longer with us because they try to make change, and they got to them, whether it was Israel or CIA but somebody got to them. So yeah, no, I get that fear.
As soon as you start uniting people, that's when that's when their ears perk up, and somebody usually gets
taken out.
Yeah, I want to thank all the people that have come in tonight, because this is one of our biggest shows in a very long time. So we're really happy that everybody's stopped in, and we really thank William for being here and letting us know how things have. And to keep, hopefully, you know, with your family, that I know it's a really rough time. The storm that it has been going through, and the flooding, and I mean, the what I've seen on social media the past 2 days has been really, really frightening. So I hope your family's okay. I know that sounds so privileged to say, but
Thank you.
Yeah, send them our love. That's all I can think of, because we do love them. If I knew how to stop it right now, I definitely would.
Yeah.
So, and I just want to thank you so much for sharing your story. We have to keep talking about this. We have to keep the pressure on in every way possible. Stop shopping. Do BDS. Don't do big box. Let's go on strike. Yes. We got to break it. So that's all I got. So
Yeah.
It was great to be here and to talk to you guys again. And I'm looking forward to continuing our conversation some other time.
Great. Thanks so much, William. Thank
if
you.
you do want to
Thanks,
hang on
everyone.
after it, when the stream ends, we're still here. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks,
Yeah, sounds good.
everybody.
I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
An uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising, fight the power. It's an uprising, fight the power.